All right, everyone, this starts our World War I unit. This is following imperialism. Recall what we talked about last week, how imperialism created so much tension among European nations, among European leaders, that it almost led to World War I. Well, imperialism eventually does become one of the main causes of World War I. So here we are. I'm going to have you in the Ed Puzzle write down everything you know about World War I. You don't have to write it in complete sentences. Just ignore that little bit. You can bullet things. So write down anything and everything that you know about World War I. It can be about society, economics, political, maybe what countries are allies with other countries, what countries are against countries, technology, where was it fought, those types of things. And we're talking about the Great War. This is what it was called. It wasn't called World War I because no one knew that there would be a World War II. So by 1914, Europe had enjoyed a century of relative peace with one another for nearly 30 years. Many idealists hoped for a permanent end to the scourge of war. Some Europeans believed that progress had made war a thing of the past. Yet, in a little more than a decade, a massive war would engulf Europe and spread across the globe. While peace and harmony characterized much of Europe at the beginning of the 1900s, there were less visible and darker forces at work as well. Below the surface of peace and goodwill, Europe witnessed several gradual developments that would ultimately help propel the continent into war. All right, let's get started. The first main cause, this is an acronym, M-A-I-N, main. M stands for militarism. This is going to be a great memory tool for you to remember main. Militarism is the building up of armed forces or a country getting ready for war. This is something that you should probably write down on a separate sheet of paper. Take your notes. There are four main causes for the war in Europe. You can remember them from the acronym MAIN: militarism, alliance, imperialism, and nationalism. We're going to be talking about the other three shortly. All right, A stands for alliances. An alliance is an agreement or promise to defend and help another country. Underneath the topic of alliances, you have two different types of alliances here. You have the Triple Alliance and the Triple Entente. The Triple Alliance was made up of Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy. So here in the map, you see the green countries, the Triple Alliance: Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy. Also, the key indicates the green is the Triple Alliance. The Triple Entente was made up of Britain, France, and Russia. Here's France, and here's Russia. The yellow countries are neutral. They did not, or have not at this point, at the start of the war, they have not taken sides. The third cause of World War I is imperialism. So the building up of an empire. And here you've got a chart on this slide. On the left, it says France, Britain, Russia, Germany. The title of the chart is 1910 to 1914, Increase in Defense Expenditures. Defense expenditures is the amount of money a country spends on defense, or essentially military, building up their militarism. So this not only is touching on imperialism, but also militarism. So France spends 10% on defense expenditures. Britain spends 13%, Russia 39%, and Germany 73%. And all these expenditures are made within this 4-year time period from 1910 to 1914. Now, if you recall from our imperialism lesson last week regarding Africa and Germany, remember how Great Britain had control of Morocco, and Germany wanted it, and they ended up in a conflict, almost ending up in war. Germany against Britain, there was a lot of tension. Britain and France, Britain ended up giving Morocco to France. So Britain and France have been friendly with each other against Germany. And Germany always, since then, felt the sting of not having more influence in Africa. So keep in mind those kinds of connections. All right, the fourth cause of World War I is nationalism. We've talked about nationalism a lot this year already, going all the way back to the French Revolution. Nationalism leads to revolution. The Industrial Revolution itself leads to nationalism, people in countries believing that they are the best, having great pride in your country, and then that nationalism led to imperialism. So nationalism is having pride in your country and willing to defend it. So what is the spark that really set off the war? Like, what really causes this to happen? We've got these tensions, but nobody's really fighting yet, and then all of a sudden this one thing happens, and it seems like the world just explodes, and the continent of Europe ends up in just global conflict. So what that spark was, on June 28th, 1914, the Archduke Ferdinand, this gentleman, this is his wife, they were assassinated by a Serbian terrorist. His name was Gavrilo Princip. You don't necessarily need to know that, but you do need to know that the Archduke and his wife were assassinated. The Archduke was heir to the Austria-Hungary throne. There is a video here. I will post the link, or the link will be posted in Google Classroom for you to watch. So Austria-Hungary blames Serbia. All right. Again, it was a Serbian nationalist terrorist that assassinates the Archduke from Austria-Hungary, AH being Austria-Hungary. Austria-Hungary then declares war on Serbia. Russia declares war on Austria-Hungary because it's backing Serbia. So Serbia and Russia are allies. Germany declares war on Russia. So it's back. Germany and Austria-Hungary are allies. Germany declares war also on France because, again, there's that long-standing tension between Germany and France and Great Britain. And because Germany declares war on France, Britain comes in and declares war on Germany. This is a video link that will also be posted in Google Classroom. So what I'm asking you to do now is, in the Ed Puzzle, what does MAIN stand for? Answer that in the Ed Puzzle, and that is the lesson on the causes of World War I.